So here we are at South by Southwest and at Tweethouse, and in a very special bike store because Lance Armstrong buys his bikes here. Look, there's one at the wall, and and he has got everything here. This is the Lance Armstrong store. And at Tweethouse, what is Tweethouse?
Tweethouse is a organization that brings together people with some expertise in Twitter and social networks with folks who really can change the conversation. Folks, celebrities, folks in industry, captains of different software projects like Pixar, for example. The former CTO of Pixar was here today. Folks with some expertise able to help those who are just starting and really understand the value both from a large network effect, but also from that personal story. So for example, they're talking about the trends that they're noticing.
You have people who know something about Twitter and people who know something about something else, and you bring them together to see what you can do together?
Right, and discovering how it's best used in, for example, the film industry. So we had some celebrities on stage today, and they want to know how to reach out to their audience. How do we write effectively in 140 characters? That's what I actually do.
And what do you know about, your name is Dom Sagolla, and what do you know about Twitter?
So I was there at the beginning. I'm user number 9 on Twitter. I was there with Jack and the team to help create it back in 2006, almost 6 years ago to the day. And the conversation opened up like this. It was Jack saying, waiting for Dom to update more. And that was tweet number 35. And my response, number 38, was, oh, this is going to be addictive. And so that's why I wrote my book.
And
you have in your
he wrote this book. He wrote a book. He wrote a book on Twitter, 140 characters. And what is on the book?
So the book is the history that I was just briefly telling you, but also some examples of how best to use it, whether it's in comedy or in drama or in reporting or in making news. And so telling a story is what I learned in the past 6 years of.
But at Twitter, you were responsible for quality, right?
That's right. Yep.
So you're responsible for the whale, which appeared so many times.
That lovable fail whale. Wasn't that just a joy to see?
Yeah. Did you select that?
Heartbreaking. No, the story goes is that was part of our popularity. The system was coming down every time we get on the news.
Oh, it was all strategy. We just break it down all the time, and then people get excited about that they miss it.
There was this error page that would show up, and everyone knows it's very frustrating. And so even the employees themselves were seeing it so often that they decided to decorate it. And it happens that Biz, one of the co-founders, was looking through some stock art and found this curious picture of a whale being lifted up by birds. And it was just so endearing that he put it up there, and it became a symbol of the fail whale. And, actually it's funny because I go and I give this speech to many audiences around the world, and I'll ask people, how many of you have seen the fail whale? And that's how I gauge how long they've been using the service, because we don't see that very much anymore.
No, I must say it has become more stable. So did you guys have when did it start to dawn on you that this was really going to be something? Because it was a little 3-week project to have fun with, right?
Right, so it did start as a side project. It was a hackathon, as we call it, for best idea. And Jack's idea kind of rose to the top, so we supported it. And we kept it to ourselves for a good period of time until, we gave it away. We gave away this application programming interface, right, the API. And it went off the charts. And it was about a year before the strategy really occurred to them to take it to TV. And so they went to MTV. And that got them a lot of news. And it was CBS, CNN, ESPN, every one of these anagrams, every one of these 3-letter words.
Was that before or after South by Southwest?
This was just after the South by Southwest conference that they formed Twitter Incorporated. Then they went on MTV. Then they went on the news. And every time they went on one of these major news brands, the system would come down. And so it was a good problem to have, but it was also something that kind of had to be explained. Yeah. And so immediately after the traffic, there were these events, and there was the event of Obama's election, and he was the most followed user on the system back then. And I'll actually ask you, how many people do you think were following Barack Obama?
Well, I think I looked it up. It was about 120,000 or something.
Close. Very good. Very good. Yeah, it was just about that.
I was there. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. And so that's an example of how big the community was back then. And it was just after that we had the attacks in Mumbai, right, where there was a news that was breaking, but you couldn't get in. The only pictures and information coming out were for folks trapped behind basically enemy lines. And that was the first moment for me. The next moment, I think, for everyone was when that plane landed on the Hudson, and we saw that grainy photograph that so obviously was taken by a person on their cell phone, but it was on every page of every newspaper. And so it was kind of the question, where did this photo come from? What's Twitter? And people were asking about this. Oprah was asking about this. She brought her 2 million followers, and the system went down again.
And then she thought, hey, I've been there, done that. I'm quitting Twitter.
Well, so but it was continuous news. It didn't stop there. Then there was the events in Iran where the revolution happened. There was the election. There was a protest against the election. Then the crackdown.
Every crisis or everything possible, it's got a flurb. But you basically already left at that point, right? Why did you leave Twitter?
Oh, I was ejected with some of the early team. So it was a big shakedown. Several shakedowns actually. And in fact, everyone at the company has been affected in one way or the other by that. All the way up to Jack.
And why did they have these shakedowns? What was it? The management style of Bistone, or what is it? Where did it come from?
Well, so I was personally laid off by Evan Williams, and it was one of the most excruciating learning examples that I've ever had in my life. I've continued to reflect on it. But we all remain friends because I look at it as business, and it's a small town, and it's an amazing community. And the fact is that there's the service and there's business behind it, but then there's the actual network effect and like who you know. And so I decided really early on, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to stay friends with these people because it's a long life.
Yeah. Now, and you just came back from Holland, eh?
What
did you do in Holland?
Oh, so this is a great story. So part of our experience just after Twitter, just right when I was just talking about that South by Southwest, right after that was iPhone launch. And you remember this time. It was a fervor. And my friends and I decided to form an organization to develop apps, web apps for iPhone. We called it iPhone Developer Camp. And we organized entirely over Twitter. And that was in 2007, 5 years ago almost, that we started doing this to the day. And the thing was, we gave away the formula. We said, take our name, take our brand, do this exact thing wherever you are. And what happened was that a member, he's actually here at South by Southwest, a member of the iPhone developer community in Holland, just mimicked us without really asking. He just took the go-ahead and went and did it and formed a community and had a camp just like ours. And a year later, when I decided I was going to reach out to the international community and say, we want a satellite event, do it simultaneously, let's organize, he was ready. He was there. And so
what's his name?
His name is Joris Kluivers.
Joris Kluivers.
Kluivers, you probably know him. Because he's a paragon of the community. And so when I landed there in November of 2009, just after the book, he was ready to receive me with his whole crew of people. And it was an amazing moment where I realized that this thing has taken on a life of its own. And it really did. For the next 2 or 3 years, we kept coming back, being invited back by various organizations. And I just came back. I was a guest of the city of Amsterdam on what they're calling the International Genius Grant Program. It was a travel grant.
Isn't that? We have great names for these kinds of things,
Really,
makes them really excited, yeah.
Yeah, well, it felt great. I got access to the student community. I spoke at the University of Amsterdam. I spoke at the New Business School. I spoke at the ICT Health Center. I spoke at the Pakhuis de Zwijger. And I spoke at our local community, and we call ourselves Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So
Amsterdam.
Here, and I just use the lighting
Amsterdam, yeah.
And so the concept is to create a community and a spirit similar to the innovative spirit that they have in Silicon Valley and export that culture of support and of appreciation of failure, essentially, to the heart of Europe, which I think has such an amazing legacy of innovation. All the way back to the early...
We have a legacy. We don't do it anymore, but we have a legacy of innovation.
Oh, no. Let me tell you another story. Okay, so there I was, the first day I landed, and I couldn't make it out to Apeldoorn. I love Apeldoorn, but I couldn't physically get there. I just flew 10 hours. And so we did a Skype session, and I peer into this window, and there are these teenagers. And what are they doing? They're at the tech center. Why are they at the tech center? Well, I happened to be there 2 years ago, where I taught them how to do these hackathons. And one of these people took it to heart. And he decided he was going to bring as many teenagers as he could to the tech center, Belastingdienst, and do a whole thing. Did I pronounce that correctly? I don't know if I did.
Very good.
But, I look at these kids' faces, and they're so excited about building solutions to solve problems in tax. And if I look at myself, when I was 13 years old, I didn't know the first thing about tax. I certainly wasn't going to spend a weekend at the tax office in America learning about how to hack on their APIs.
See, now you've basically done Holland the right way. So now we have this apps. How's it called? Apps?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. What is it? What does Amsterdam do?
Oh, so Amsterdam is a support network and basically an infrastructure for developing apps, for working, developing a company, for protecting yourself in the case of being sued. For example, there's a legal fund, a defense fund, basically, and really giving Americans and international folks from all over Europe a way in to create a business inside the city of Amsterdam. Because if you walk around that city, if you bike around that city, pedestrians and bicycles rule. And it's here we are, okay, in Mellow Johnny's, Lance Armstrong's home. There couldn't be a more similar example of that culture, that innovative culture that you have in Holland as there is here.
Hey, and then the last thing you did was starting a web company or an apps company which builds apps, and which has a very specific philosophy. What's the name of the company, and what's your philosophy?
Great. Okay, so it's called Dollar App, and the concept is to evaluate an idea based on a very simple principle of, one feature. What are you doing better than anyone else? And can you get it done with just one person? And if so, can you get that done in 1 month? And if you've met all those criteria, you can feel confident to say that app, that thing, that download is worth $1. And if you decide at 1 month that it's worth more than $1, well, that's fine. You can move on, add another team member, add more features, but you've made that decision. You had that ability.
And those kinds of apps you've made in 1 month for $1 and one feature. What kind of apps have you made?
Well, we've done everything from a kids application on how to learn math. It's called Math Cards. I did a very simple social networking application called Big Words. I wrote my book in hypertext and put that out in a month. And I've worked on other projects.
You said Obama?
I did work on the Obama application, and we got that done in 22 days. So that's an interesting story, too. I don't know if your viewers have time. But just 2 months prior to his election, the campaign reached out to us and had an idea. And it was how to take the social network that's on your phone, your contact list, and open it up and free it and allow people to actually take action based on the ideas of his candidacy, which, healthcare, the economy, national security. And so what it did was it just sorted your contact list by swing state, by battleground state, and people you already knew. So you make a phone call, you talk to your mom, your sister-in-law, whomever.
Yeah, my nephew did that. He basically started to call everybody in all kinds of swing states to say, vote for Obama, 13 years old. Yeah,
exactly. And that passion, we managed to harness it and actually we provided over 500,000 downloads in the 34 days prior to the election. And that, back in that time, like you were just saying, that's actually the majority of the people using the phone. Yeah. So, that was another example of how to get something done quickly with an amazing team if you stay focused.
And within 1 month for less than $1. Okay.
That's right.
Thank you very much. See you in Amsterdam.
Excellent. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.